Start. Okay, so welcome to TryHackMe Night. Thank you all for attending. I am recording, however, it's only recording my voice. It's not recording anyone else's voice. So if you do listen to the VOD, it might sound like a one-sided conversation, but and also if I ask questions and stuff like that, you can come off the mic if you want to, or you don't really have to. It's not awkward or weird for me if, no one comes off the mic or anything like that. So no worries there. So we are starting with the operating system security room. This room introduces users to operating system security and demonstrates SSH authentication on Linux. When y'all think of operating system security, I feel like I should be operation system. Operating system security, what comes to mind when you think of that? Yeah, definitely using the different Linux distros, stuff like that, securing them maybe. Let's see. It says, every day you use a smartphone or a laptop or almost any type of computer. You interact directly or indirectly with an operating system. Operating systems include MS Windows, Mac OS, iOS, Android, Chrome OS, and Linux. But what is an operating system? To define an operating system, we need to visit one computer term, hardware. I didn't expect that as the response to what is an operating system. I kind of thought, I don't know, they would go deep straight into the stuff about software. So, computer hardware refers to all computer parts and peripherals that you can touch with your hand. Hardware includes the screen, the keyboard, the printer, the USB flash memory, and the desktop board. As shown in the figure below, the computer desktop board contains many components, in particular, a central processing unit, CPU, and memory chips, RAM. Although not shown in the image below, the desktop board is usually connected to a storage device, a hard drive, or an SSD. Has anyone worked on hardware before, like computer, like motherboards and stuff like that? I have. My first IT job was an internship. And that internship, I basically repaired computers. I guess I should say desktops, laptops, printers, projectors, anything that was it. I worked at a school board, and anything that was like an electronic device in the classrooms, I repaired it. Kids would stick crayons into weird places, Sometimes you'd want to use gloves to do a lot of the repairs. I was repairing keyboards, replacing keys, memory. My favorite thing to fix was printers. Oddly enough, I'm not sure why I enjoyed printers as much as I did, but something was real fun about taking a printer apart and putting it back together. Let's see. The desktop board is the main part of a computer, and all the other pieces of hardware from keyboards and mouse to screen and printer connect to it. However, hardware components by themselves are useless if you want to run your favorite program and application. We need an operating system to control and drive them. So here we have a nice little picture. Does the picture show a black? Yeah, I don't like that. So we have our software and hardware components, and our software components are feeding into all of these different things here. Our programs, which would be Firefox, Chrome, Microsoft Office, WhatsApp, and Telegram, which you can kind of tell where the people are from that wrote this, because those aren't very popular in the US. Operating systems, Microsoft Windows, Android, et cetera, et cetera. Hardware, which we talked about, the CPU, memory, storage, the screen. The operating system, OS, is the layer sitting between the hardware and the applications and programs you are running. Okay, so that's what they were talking about here with this picture. I guess they were showing us that the first layer, although I'm not sure layer is a good word here, terminology, just because of the way it's used in other contexts. But we have our hardware, and then on top of our hardware, we have our operating system. And on top of our operating system, we have our programs. So in order to run our operating system, we need hardware. In order to run our programs, we need operating systems, if you want to read it from top down, which makes sense. We have, hold on one second. There we go. I always forget to enable streamer mode. Okay, so we have example programs you would use daily, might include a web browser such as Firefox, Safari, and Chrome, and a messaging app such as Signal, WhatsApp, and Telegram. All of these programs and applications cannot run directly on the computer hardware. However, they run on top of the operating system. The operating system allows these programs to access the hardware according to specific rules, which that makes sense. Some operating systems are designed to run on laptops and personal desktops, such as Microsoft Windows 11 and Mac OS. Other operating systems are designed specifically for smartphones, such as Android and iOS. There are also operating systems intended for servers. Examples include Microsoft Windows Server 2022, IBM AIX, and Oracle Solaris. Finally, there are operating systems that you can use on a personal computer and a server. One example is Linux. The image below shows the popularity of the different operating systems used to browse the internet. So we have here, is anyone shocked to see that Android is the most popular operating system with 39.4%? Yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you know what? That does make sense. Because at first, when I saw Android, I kind of was a little shocked because I was like, oh, what about Linux? But then I'm realizing that, like, a phone is a lot cheaper and mobile, and like you can do a lot more with not a lot more, but you can do a lot with a phone at a different capacity than you would with like a laptop. You can't just, go on the train with your laptop and start, I don't know, talking to people. Like that would be kind of weird. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, I heard something that because like a lot more of the world has Android because it's more affordable in the context that they have it. So like you can get, I mean, even here in the US, you can get like a $50 phone that's running some Android distribution or some Android whatever versus like an iPhone, a base iPhone is going to cost you like, I don't know, a couple of $100s. You cannot go and say, yeah, I'm going to go get a $50 iPhone. Like that's not a thing. Or device running iOS. So like Android, then Windows, and then iOS, which this actually makes a lot of sense because although a lot of people will like say they hate Windows, there's a lot of people that run Windows. I'm a gamer. I do not want to try and troubleshoot my own computer and install this, that, and the third. When I want to go play Call of Duty or whatever, I just want to point and click and have it go. So seeing Windows here is kind of interesting too, because you have one that's mostly on smartphones, and then you have another one that deals with computers. So ideally, like these two kind of most consumers have, which makes sense. All right. Your smartphone might be running Android or iOS, and you might have plenty of private data on it. Examples include private conversations, private photos, email client, passwords saved in a web browser or even in notes, e-banking apps. The list of confidential and private data goes on. You don't want someone you don't trust to open your phone and go through your photos, conversations, and apps. Hence, you need to secure your phone and its operating system. The same goes for your laptop or your computer running Microsoft Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. What do they have Linux underlined here? Linux is a command line operating system based on Unix. There are multiple operating systems that are based on Linux. Okay. I just wanted to see why they had that underlined there. Okay. Your computer will most likely contain plenty information such as confidential files related to your work or university, private files like copies of your ID or password, email programs like Outlook or Thunderbird, passwords saved in web browsers, copy of digital camera or smartphone photos. The list can get very long depending on the type of user. And considering the nature of data saved, you want to ensure that your data is secured. When we talk about security, we should think of protecting three things. Has anyone heard of the CIA triad? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Yeah. This is like the holy grail, and it seems like availability just goes right out the window sometimes in security. Let's see. Confidentiality. You want to ensure that the secret and private files and information are only available to intended persons. Integrity. It is crucial that no one can tamper with the files stored on your system or while being transferred over the network. And availability. You want your laptop or smartphone to be available to use anytime you decide to use it. So those are kind of like the core components of just really when you think about just security overall. If you're working like on a security team or even on a systems team, because a lot of times when these teams are separated, it's like one team, their concern might only be about confidentiality and integrity, but they don't have the understanding of the business to realize that by implementing a certain assessment of some sort, by doing something, they might cause the business to have slowness or not be available, or they could cause a server to go down because, you know, it's doing too much, like too many reads and it can't catch up, or too many writes and it can't catch up. Let's see. Which of the following is not an operating system? AIX, Android, Chrome OS, Solaris, Thunderbird. It's definitely going to be Thunderbird. That is an email client. Because, yeah, that one. That one felt kind of tricky because the Chrome OS, like I always think of like Chrome the browser instead of just like Google made the whole thing with the Chrome thingy. It's like a Chrome laptop. It's not I forgot the word they used to use for those mini laptops. They were called something. Netbooks. I think they used to call them like netbooks or something like that. Okay. Common examples of OS security. As we mentioned in the previous task, I'm making up words. As we mentioned in the previous task, security is concerned with attacks against confidentiality, integrity, and availability, our CIA triad. In this room, we will focus on 3 weaknesses targeted by malicious users: authentication and weak password, weak file permissions, and malicious programs. So, for authentication and weak passwords, authentication is the act. Let's see, do they introduce it here? Oh, they don't. Okay. Authentication is the act of verifying your identity, be it a local or a remote system. Authentication can be achieved in 3 ways: something you know, such as your password or a PIN; something you are, such as a fingerprint; something you have, such as a phone, via which you can receive an SMS message. Has anyone had to ever log into a system with more than just a password? Have you ever had to use a key or a fingerprint or anything like that? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's nice. Is it like a hardware? It's a hardware token, right? Okay, that's pretty cool. Mine is similar to that. I put in my password and then I have a token, and that token it generates a new one every time I use it. So if I want to go into my lab environment, I have to authenticate there. I got to authenticate to be able to look at things. I authenticate using the token into the corporate VPN, then I have to authenticate into certain resources using the token on the VPN. Yeah, it's pretty intense. I just be hitting that little thing constantly all day. Let's see. Since passwords are the most common form of authentication, they are also the most attacked. Many users tend to use easy to guess passwords or the same password on many websites. Moreover, some users rely on personal details such as date of birth or a name of their pet, thinking that this is easy to remember and unknown to attackers. However, attackers are aware of this tendency among users. The National Cybersecurity Center has published a list of the 100,000 most common passwords. Let's look at the top 20 in the table. So we've got some here that I cannot believe were passwords. Password 1 is a common one when you're new to a job. They'll set it to password 1. Monkey and dragon. That's interesting in the top 20 list. The numbers are also kind of strange to see, but I guess not. When you just look down at the keyboard, they're not all that crazy to see. Let's see. The all zeros is kind of insane though. Not gonna lie, did not expect to see the all zeros. Just number 13. There we go. You can see that these numbers are on the list. Dictionary words such as password, I love you, monkey, and dragon are commonly used. Words not in the dictionary include QWERTY, UIOP, QWERTY. Oh, that's just the rest of the keyboard. And QWERTY with some ones in between. These seemingly complex passwords are very predictable as they follow the keyboard layout. In brief, if the attacker can guess the password of any of your online accounts, such as your email or your social media, they will be able to gain access to your private data. Therefore, it is vital that you choose complex passwords and use different passwords with different accounts. Weak file permissions. What do y'all think of when you see weak file permissions? What is that? What do y'all think that means? It's definitely my favorite thing to use as an example for weak file permissions is people in marketing shouldn't be able to see the file share of people in accounting. There's nothing in there for them to ever need or see. Proper security dictates the principle of least privilege. In a work environment, you want any file accessible only by those who need to gain access to it to get work done. On a personal level, if you are planning a trip with family or friends, you might want to share all files related to the trip plan with those going on that trip. You don't want to share such files publicly. That's the principle of least privilege, or in simpler terms, who can access what? Weak file permissions make it easy for adversaries to attack confidentiality and integrity. They can attack confidentiality as weak permissions allow them to access files they should not be able to access. Moreover, they can attack integrity as they might modify the files that they should not be able to edit. I think this right here is a really, really good example of confidentiality and integrity. I would say I personally have the most trouble remembering them. But if if you try to think, well, what does the word confidentiality mean and integrity mean? But you're on the spot, it's really hard. You'd be like, well, you know what? I really don't know what those words mean. I forgot. But if you can think like confidentiality is just like if you don't bad confident. I don't know if bad confidentiality is a word, is a correct term, but we'll just say it. Bad confidentiality means that you have access to something that you should not be able to access. And an attack on integrity would mean that now you've gone and changed the file. So instead of, the header saying, my name, Cloud Barb or something, it says something else like Baddies in Tech. That would be the integrity that it's been changed. But on a much deeper level, it's a lot deeper than that. But that's like a really higher level gloss of that. Access to malicious programs. Does anyone know what do you all think when you hear access to malicious programs? We have a huge Trojan horse here on our screen with, actual bugs and not a horse. It just so happens that this is not a horse on wheels. It is bugs and worms. I'm going to assume that these are worms in here. Maybe they could have gave them smiley faces. I'm not sure. The last example we will consider in the case of malicious programs. Depending on the type of malicious program, it can attack confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Some types of malicious programs, such as Trojan horses, give the attacker access to your system. Consequently, the attacker would be able to read your files or even modify them. Some types of malicious programs attack availability. One such example is ransomware. Ransomware is a malicious program that encrypts the user's files. Encryption makes the files unreadable without knowing the encryption password. In other words, the files become gibberish without decryption, reversing the encryption. The attacker offers the user the availability to restore, i.e., gain access to their original files. They will give them the encryption password if the user is willing to pay the ransom. Has anyone noticed, like lately, I guess, an increase in ransomware attacks, and also, I guess, the increase in the amount of money that they're asking for? It almost seems like the cyber criminals, they will ask, well, I guess it kind of seems like extortion in a way, because they will say, we have your data. Now you have to pay me $20 million. Otherwise, I'm releasing the data for free to everyone in 6 hours on the clear web or something like that. I know they had a lot of these forums and stuff, and the governments, like various government agencies, were involved with getting them shut down. And, you know, hacking is a crime once again. So, you know, don't do it. You will get jail time. Let's see. Which of the following is a strong password in your opinion? We have, yeah, what's up? If you're talking, I can't hear you. Okay. Okay, we have I love you. We have Quirt with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have learn more, and we have QWERTY, YUIOP. Which one y'all think is the strong password in your opinion? Learn more? The second one? Let's try learn more. Oh, it is learn more. So this one was in our list above, I believe. It looks, yeah. This one was in our list above as number 16. It's the keyboard. It's just the top numbers on the keyboard. You could like use 2 fingers and just press each one of these numbers. This one was a good one because it looks like it would have been the answer. And that learn more was just kind of like, you know, you see a full word there, you know? So yeah, definitely. It was tricky though, and then you have this one, which is long, but it is definitely not secure, or strong, not secure. Okay, so now we're on to our practical example. This is awesome. So let's see here. In one typical attack, the attacker seeks to gain access to a remote system. We can accomplish this attack by tricking the target into running a malicious file. I feel like I skipped a word. We can accomplish this task by tricking the target into running a malicious file, or by obtaining a username and a password. We will focus on the latter. After discovering a username, we will try to guess the password. Furthermore, we will try to escalate our privileges to system administrator. This account is called root on Android, Apple, and Linux system, while Microsoft Windows system, it's called administrator. The account, root, and administrator have complete unrestricted access to the system. Look at our thingy here. Looks like we got some passwords on our desktop. Sammy's password is Dragon. John's password is Mr. McFluffy. I'm guessing Kevin's password just might be his birthday. And Lucy's password is random. Can't tell what it is. In this task, let me start the attack box. In this task, we will try to hack into a Linux system. We assume that you have never used a Linux system before, and we will explain accordingly. Start the attack box by clicking the blue Start Attack Box button at the top right. Did my attack box show up? Am I zoomed in too far, maybe? Oh. I feel like... Oh. Maybe I have to wait. It's a T2 Nano. It's gonna take a couple of seconds to load up. They're probably getting that was kind of like a terrible cloud joke. T2 Nano is an EC2 instance type. I think it has not very many resources to really be able to do anything. So don't run your domain controllers on T2 micros. Where's my attack box? Hello? Oh. Okay, maybe I should be a little more patient. That's fine. Okay. Has anyone used Linux before to I don't know if I should say escalate privileges or just in general? Linux, just any type of Linux, really. GUI, non-GUI, servers. Nice. What have you used it for? Mhm. Oh, nice. Okay. That sounds pretty cool. So is it like OWASP top 10 or something? I think. Oh, okay. Okay. Nice. That's pretty cool. That's good. Yeah. Linux is it's really nice to know. I think I guess maybe it depends on like experience. Cause also I do believe that you can learn Linux from Windows, like scripting and stuff like that. You can totally learn Linux that way, like building scripts and just navigating Windows from a CLI standpoint. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I love me some PowerShell. All right. Yep. Let's see here. So this is definitely our T2 Nano. With I can't even remember off the top of my head. Like, what does a T2 Nano have? Like half a gig of memory? All right, we'll zoom in because I have glasses and we're just gonna zoom in. We'll just say that. Okay, so on the attack box. Okay, Start the terminal by clicking on the terminal icon. That's what we clicked on up here as shown above. You'll be writing all the commands you need on the terminal shown below. So we're going to cover who am I, SSH user at, IP address, ls, cat file name, and history. So, interesting. Okay. So we were hired to check the security of a certain company. When we visited our client's office, we noticed a sticky note with two words, Sammy and Dragon. On one of the screens, Sammy and Dragon on one of the screens. Let's see if Dragon is Sammy's password on the target machine 10.10.3.146. From the attack box's terminal, we will try to log into Sammy's account by executing SSH Sammy at IP address. Let's see here. SSH Sammy at, I have numlock on 10.10.3.146. All right, it's asking us, are you sure you want to continue connecting? We're going to say yep. And now it's asking us for Sammy's password. And we're going to type in Dragon. And boom, we're in. We're hackers. Wow. We're in. You've seen how like on the TV shows, like they're hacking the mainframe and then they say they're in. That's how that felt to log into Sammy's account there. Please note the following when entering the password over SSH. When you log in via SSH, you won't see that you are typing the password. In other words, when you are typing the SSH password, you won't see stars, dots, or any indicators on the screen that the password is being typed. However, the system still receives the password you are entering. I guess that's what makes it really difficult sometimes if you have a complex password, which you always should, by the way. What are we looking at? Oh, I got my zoom maybe a little bit too much. Let's zoom out some because we got some good information here that we probably need to look at. Okay, so we have no updates. It says 0 users logged in. IP address for our Ethernet. Amazing, it worked. Let's confirm that we're logged in as Sammy by using the who am I command, which should return Sammy. Who am I? Sammy. To list the files in the current directory, we can use ls, short for list. This command will show all files in the current directory unless they are hidden. So in our current directory, we have country, draft, icon, password, and profile. If you want to display the context of any text file, you can use the command cat and the file name, short for concatenate. This command will print the contents of the file on the screen. So let's go with cat on country. I just hit tab instead of typing country, just so it wouldn't. Maybe I can't spell country. We don't know. Country has the word UK in it. Let's go cat on. See, that's why you tab, because don't depend on your own typing. And if we do cat on like these images here, they might return things that we cannot read. Okay. Okay, good. Cat draft. Okay, I don't really know what that's about, but maybe it's something that we'll get to it. Okay, so We saw the same thing. Reusing password means that your password for other sites become exposed if one service is hacked. In our brief introduction to Linux, the last command that we will cover is history. This command prints out the commands used by other users. We have learned about 2 other usernames that had access to the machine, and they are Johnny and Linda. So let's type history, and we can see all of these were typed by other users. We know that both of these users have little regard for cybersecurity best practices. We can use several ways to guess the password for these 2 users. Here's a list. Here we list 2 approaches. If you are not logged in as Sammy or any other user, you can use SSH Johnny at IP address and manually try one of the passwords for Johnny and see which one works. And if you are logged in as Johnny at Sammy or any other user, you can use switch user SU-Johnny and manually try one password after the next to see which works for Johnny. So I do remember our little sticky note up here. Oh, Johnny's not up here. That's crazy. No way. Based on the top 7 passwords, let's try to find Johnny's password. What's the password for the user Johnny? All right, so we are going to guess that we had our top. They said Johnny might be in the top 7, so SU Johnny. I guess we could try maybe password. Authentication failure. Okay. So Johnny is a little more sophisticated than what I'm thinking. Let's try ABC123. That's Johnny's password. Johnny's password is, who am I? I am Johnny. So Johnny's password is ABC123. So that wasn't too hard to guess. But normally, you know, a lot of people don't have their passwords just set to ABC123. Did I hit submit? Oh, okay, cool. And so once you're logged in as Johnny, use the command history to check the commands that Johnny has typed. We expect Johnny to have mistakenly typed the root password instead of a command. What is the root password? That is a huge mistake. Right here, we can see that Johnny tried to switch the user to root, and then Johnny typed happy hacking, and then tried to switch user to root, then type who am I and ls and all the other commands. So happy hacking is probably our password for, oh, well, hold on. Oh, I gotta type it. Okay. Happy hack. Okay. Let's see. Okay, perfect. So that was the root user password. And so now we need to try to log in as the root user and display the contents of flag.txt in the root directory. So we're going to su root, and then we're going to type, I'm hoping that it was still there. And then we're going to, who am I, even though we can see it. We'll ls to see what's in there. And then we'll cat out flag, concatenate flag. And our flag is TryHackMe, you got root. All right, let's see. And boom, we made it. Congrats. Any questions? That was our operating system security room. And we just got the flag for root, which was because Johnny typed in the password in without, well, I'm not sure what Johnny had going on, but Johnny just typed in the password for the root user into the CLI, and we use the history command. Let's see. We use the history command to be able to see that. And you see the history command does work because when I got into root, I typed who am I, then I typed ls, then I typed cat on our flag, concatenate, and we got our flag. So that's pretty much it for this room. Thank y'all for showing up. I really appreciate it. Next week, we'll get to the other room. Let me terminate my box here. Terminate my T2 database running on a T2 micro. Hello. Okay. It was saying the next one, I think, is network security. Learning pathways, dashboard. Network security. So next week, we'll go over network security, and we do have a practical example for that one as well. Thank y'all for showing up. Anyone have any questions, comments? Thank you for showing up. I truly appreciate it. Yep. Have a good night. You too. Take care. Yep. Not a problem. Have a good night. Right.